All right, so I think I'm allowed out. I saw in the message group that people were actually going out in our compound, so that's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go try to go for a walk. Hopefully it's true. Hopefully I don't get turned away. So this will be my first day outside besides a COVID test or up on the roof. So I don't think I can go out into the town. I think I can just walk around the compound, but that's what I'm gonna do, is try to get some exercise in, just walk laps around the compound if I am able to. So let's see if it's true. The rumors are true. I am outside. I'm outside not for a COVID test, and I'm not on my roof. First time in, I don't know, I guess it's been 37 days, something like that, 38 days. I don't know, I kind of lost track. That's an estimate. I wonder if I can take my mask off without freaking everybody out. Let's go this way. So yeah, as you can see, we've got families out playing, kids playing. Little bit of normal life coming back, it seems. So this is good news. Still not 100%, not even close, considering we can't go outside at all, meaning outside of the compound. But this is at least progress. It's funny, the little pleasures in life, you never think that it's that big of a deal to be locked in a place for so long, but when you don't have a choice, that choice is taken away from you due to a situation like this. It just feels good to be out and about, and it's a beautiful day. Of course, ironically, the day I find that we can go outside is the first day that I'm back to work after the holidays. So I did have a conference call already this morning. I've got some other calls later, and I've got some other stuff I got to do, but I just thought it's still early. Still morning time. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. And yeah, I thought I would just put some laps in here in the compound, get some sun, and see what's going on. I got some deliveries at the gate here. So as you can see, they drop off all this stuff out here. Yeah, so the delivery still is not allowed in, so they have to drop everything at the front gates. And then the people who work here then take it to each building. So last night, I got a food order, which was awesome. It was a order of like gourmet cheese and wine, some fruit, some like assorted nuts. Just sounded good, some luxury food. Anyhow, I got a text message at like 11 o'clock last night saying that they dropped it at the front gate. And typically, the team here that works here, they'll deliver it to my door because we've had this lockdown. Well, I guess we stopped doing that, which I didn't know. So I waited and waited, and then I thought, well, maybe it was a mistake, so I fell asleep. Anyhow, I woke up, came downstairs, and yeah, my groceries have been sitting there since last night. Now, luckily, the cheese was put in like one of those freezer bags and it had a bunch of ice in it. So it was still kind of cool to the touch, so I think it's probably still safe to eat. So I'm gonna enjoy some cheese and some wine tonight. Getting back to normal, guys. Like after crazy lockdown situation here in Shanghai, really tough times, I'm hoping that I'm gonna be a little optimistic here. I'm a little fearful to even say that, but it feels good to be out. Yeah, and guys, we take little things for granted in our life. Things like freedom, things like being able to just choose what to eat, when to be able to, I don't know where I am, took a wrong turn. Freedom to be able to choose when we come and go in the place that we live. It's all these little tiny things that we just don't think about. So one thing I think that this pandemic's been really good for is forcing us to consider these little things that we take for granted in our life. I've mentioned this on a few of my Instagram stories lately, but you know, I'll be prepared for life differently. Some people come in, I should put my mask on. You know, I'll be prepared for life with a different definition of what that preparation needs to look and feel like. So as I said before, you know, once I'm able to order freely, I will forevermore be stocked up on essential items, not be at the mercy of whatever regulation, decision, lockdown the government, no matter where I live, happens to think is the right thing to do. Sometimes it is. Quite frankly, sometimes it is. I'm not saying that, you know, we don't be a good citizen and listen and try to be a team player and help out when these crazy situations happen. I'm not saying that, but I think we've seen here in Shanghai, it's been drastic. It's been too much. It's been oppressive and scary in a lot of ways. So anyhow, I will no longer take for granted my ability to be self-reliant. That's what I'm trying to say. So, man, it feels good to just walk, to just have no agenda, to just walk around my compound. This is actually the first time I've walked around the full compound. Typically when I walk, I leave my compound and I just get out in the city so I can see different things. You can feel the exuberance from everybody. You can feel the lightheartedness of everybody just enjoying the simple pleasure of being outside. Yeah, I'm not even that limber at my age. He probably is 10 years older than me. The history of this compound, meaning my connection to it, I mentioned this in a video a while back, but our best friends, some of our best friends here in Shanghai used to live in the apartment that I currently live in. That's how I got the apartment. That's how I had inherited Louie and Donut, the other two dogs. They got stuck in Australia during COVID. One of them is from Australia, and you know, they were locked down. They couldn't get back to Shanghai. So anyways, long story short, after a year of being patient, they decided not to come back to Shanghai. So they called me up and said, hey, do you want the apartment? We'll work with the landlord to see if he will rent to you. That happened. But before that, we used to come over and have dinner and lunch and stuff with Lee and Steve here at this compound. So, and then they have kids that are really close to the same age as Sophia and Olivia. So anyhow, the four kids would run around this compound, going crazy, running through all these different trails and, you know, over the bridge, and they would look for frogs in those ponds that you saw probably. It's just it's a cool place for kids because it's all contained, you know, it's all fenced in, so the kids can't get lost. There's no way for them to get lost. Anyways, I was really looking forward to having the girls here. It's really the reason I chose to move to this compound, was so, you know, they would have room to run, if you will. Yeah, looks like more deliveries. All right, well, there are people in the street. There are scooters driving around. There's cars parked. There's a little bit of traffic noise. I mean, things are creeping back to some semblance of normality. I was talking in my stories the other night on Instagram about our connection to nature and how we are poorer for it. We are less healthy for keeping ourselves out of nature. So even though this is kind of fake nature, meaning it's man-made or man-managed, massaged, you know, this is as close to nature as I can get quickly. Just being on these little trails here, which is very appreciated after 38 days of being locked in my apartment on my own. get out here under some trees. I kind of feel like a kid myself right now, exploring here underneath the trees. I've literally never done this at my own housing complex. I'm sure my kids have been back here. Hopefully you can hear the wind in the leaves rattling the branches. Yeah, and there are just people walking. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a person just walking outside of our gate, like down the sidewalk, like a normal person. Not something you see so much right now. You can hear the frogs here in the pond. You can also hear that big truck on the road. Certainly not the cleanest pond I've ever seen in my life. To think that my kids used to walk in that muck looking for frogs. They probably built up a very strong immune system by being exposed to or running around through that filthy water. How can we learn to stay in this mental state where we don't take things for granted? You know, part of human adaptation, evolution, if you believe in that, over time has been what's called like the hedonic treadmill. And what that means is basically is we're always getting used to every new thing. So every good thing, every bad thing, the human animal has a tendency to just adapt. So we're always on this treadmill, right? This hedonic treadmill, they call it, to where, you know, things are only so good for a while. So it's kind of like when you buy that thing that you've been really craving for so long, you think, oh, this new gadget or this new outfit or this new house is going to change my life. This new car is going to change my life. And it feels good for about a week or two. And then it just becomes another car. It just becomes another piece of clothing. It just becomes another gadget in your life. The reason we lose that feeling for these material things is because it's wired into our DNA at this point. Because if, you know, back before we had houses and police forces and people to protect us and laws to govern us, you know, we had to fend for ourselves as, like, you know, cave people living in the forest. And if we got too used to things, or if we you know, kind of sat down here underneath the trees and said, I'm good, I'm not going to move. I'm just going to set up my camp over here for the rest of my life. I'm not going to adapt anymore. We would have been eaten. We would have been, you know, the tide rises from the pond here and floods our village that we've now built here underneath these trees. It puts us at risk. So over time, the most successful humans were the ones who kind of got a little dissatisfied. And they kept sitting around thinking, what if? What if shit hits the fan? What if that sound I hear over there is not a bullfrog, but what if it is a alligator? I don't know if alligators make noises. I think they hiss. The most successful people, the people who lived the longest, and the people who got to then spread their DNA through reproduction, were the ones who were just a little bit dissatisfied all the time. That kept them curious. That kept them moving. That kept them adapting. My thought at this point is, we've taken ourselves out of the cycle of nature by and large as humans. We don't really have to deal with it much anymore, which means we're fighting against our own DNA when it comes to things like adaptation and feeling like enough is enough. It's this constant fight. So whereas before, that feeling inside of not being, of things not being enough or not being satisfied pushed us to be safer, stronger, and pass on our genes to the next, you know, generation. Now, however, that same feeling forces us to just buy shit that we don't need, right? I love this quote. I think it was from Fight Club. It's, you know, buying things we can't afford to impress people we don't even like, you know? And that is kind of the reality of modern life. Deciding when enough is enough, deciding when to replace your new car, to get the new sofa, to get the new TV. Like, for a lot of us, that is some of our biggest stresses in life. What this situation with COVID, being in lockdown, last 2 years, me not seeing my family, a lot of people are in the same situation or similar. So again, I'm not, this isn't a cry for sympathy or anything like that, but it's more so to just underscore the point that this is a wake-up call for a lot of us, that I think, how do we hold on to this feeling is my point. How do I hold on to this appreciation of the simple pleasure of standing underneath these beautiful trees in this little man-made park, here in a city of 25 million people. It's not much. It's not much, right? I'm not in the redwood forest. I'm not, you know, hiking through the forest somewhere. I'm not in the jungle. But how can I more appreciate these little moments in life? I think that's the trick. I do think that's the key, but I know what's going to happen. We get this little step of freedom today, okay? I'm going to continue walking my laps here and take full advantage of it. We get this little taste of freedom today, these first steps, and then pretty soon, next week, maybe, I go back to work. And then after that, I take all this for granted again. I keep coming through that front gate after getting off the metro, the subway, walk straight to my apartment, go up 38 floors, and just lock myself in. Sure, I'll go out and enjoy the sunset. But will I come down here and stand underneath this tree ever again? I hope so. I hope so. I hope I can retain this appreciation for the simple pleasure of freedom. But my DNA, my conditioning, my society tells me I probably won't. Something to think about. I'm gonna do a couple more laps here on my walk. Thanks for listening to me pontificate, philosophize, and rant about my little slice of freedom that I've finally been given after 38 days. Hopefully you can tell how happy I am. I don't want to take this for granted. I really don't. I want to appreciate it. All right, there's a Latin phrase, amor fati, and what this means, the literal translation is love of fate or love your fate. And what this argues for is, it's not just accepting when bad things happen or shitty circumstances or things like lockdowns or you lose your job or you have a terrible health diagnosis, you know, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband leaves you, whatever the situation is. It's not to minimize those situations, but it's to underscore the point that we control our response to those types of terrible situations. And what amor fati argues for is we need to love our fate, meaning we need to embrace it, not just accept it, but embrace it and say, yes, I am glad this happened to me and not someone else because I am going to learn from it. I am going to grow from it. I am going to be better because this bad thing happened to me. So I'm not very good at this. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm usually a pessimist, or as I like to say, a realist. So I tend to look maybe on the dark side of situations as like a knee-jerk reaction. And I've got to walk myself through, I've got to talk myself off the ledge on how the situation might be able to benefit me, or that it might offer me something that I don't currently have in my toolkit as a human being. So when I think about that Latin phrase, amor fati, and I apply it to situations like this, like how can I not just accept the lockdown and that I've missed, 38 days of real life, but how can I embrace it and say, hell yeah, I'm thankful that this happened because I am now better, I'm stronger, I'm more resilient. I spent more time reading, I spent more time working on projects, I made more YouTube videos than I've made in a long time. Those types of things, it's we want to love our fate and say, yeah, I'm glad this actually happened. The trick though with amor fati, and as we work with this concept more and more and more, is that we need to catch ourselves nearly immediately to truly show that growth. So 38 days later, 37 days later, it's cool for me to have perspective and be able to say, yeah, I'm glad this happened after 37, 38 days, whatever it's been. But it's a totally different mastery of mindset when you can catch yourself in the moment when all the shit breaks loose and say, no, this is good, this is good. I'm going to own this situation, I'm going to be okay. And in fact, more than okay, I'm going to figure out how to benefit from this situation. So think about that, amor fati. It's powerful if you can leverage it in the moment. All right, guys, so I have walked an hour. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to my rant. And yeah, just a quick video to show you what freedom looks like in one little corner of Shanghai today. Hope you're all doing well. If you like this, please go ahead and subscribe. I really appreciate it. welcome to the new subscribers. There's been about 40 or 50 new people lately, which is super cool. I am committing to making more videos, so yeah, there'll be more from me. So hopefully there'll be more of you. And yeah, stay safe out there, guys. Thanks again for watching.